WWE is in hot water with so many different controversial things being said about the company. Now that we are just a day away from WrestleMania, how did WWE get here? How did this become so controversial? Why is this a PR nightmare? We're going to talk about multiple stories there. Also, some canceled plans for WWE's Chelsea Green, and we are going to talk about NXT Europe because it appears it is still on the table, which, my God, I am absolutely stunned. All right, guys, I want to kick things off with WWE and NXT Europe because I think this is one of the most interesting things for years and years prior to WWE being bought out by TKO. We heard this was coming. I have been on top of this literally since day one, and I have pretty much given up on the idea of it ever happening. Now Triple H, in a new interview with Daily Mail, has confirmed that the launch of NXT Europe is still in WWE's plans. He says it is. I'm still a big believer that the UK was going to work. The product was there. The interest level was there as well. The pandemic squashed it. For years, we couldn't move people. We couldn't bring people in, and it just shut it down. I still believe it's there. I still believe in the expansion of what we're doing. It's about the opportunity for people. The opportunity in this industry for what we do is few and far between outside of WWE, where you kind of just trying to do it on your own. The future of the business for us is going to Japan, the Middle East, Australia, and all these other places where we can help support and grow a thriving industry. The people who don't see that don't see what we do. And this is very interesting because for WWE to do NXT Europe, to do NXT Japan, to do all of these different NXTs, I mean, yes, you are helping the industry thrive, but really what it comes down to is you are there to help your business thrive. And I don't want to see WWE position this as a situation where that's not the case, because quite frankly, it's been a very busy week. It's been a very busy week for us all as content creators and fans and stuff like that. And now you have to imagine the level of work and busyness it is for them as a company, which tells me WWE has way too much stuff going on to even consider or to contemplate the idea of establishing these global expansions and these NXTs that are going to be global. Personally speaking, I would love to see it happen, but I don't think the way this company operates will be able to get it done. And maybe that's just because over the years we have been talking about this, but it just hasn't come to fruition. And for NXT Japan, you know, it's look at how this industry has changed. Like, you have a whole wrestling alliance that exists in Japan. So now you got to wonder, how can WWE kind of get around that? And the reality is, this is WWE putting their business as the forefront, being the main focus. And the reality is, I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see. You never know. That brings us to our next topic, ladies and gentlemen, canceled WrestleMania plans. It appears that there were some plans for Chelsea Green, and now it appears that those plans are not happening. I guess technically it could change, right? Technically, WWE can make the decision to actually do this. Now, the canceled plans are very interesting because according to Fightful Select, WWE had plans to do an open challenge for the Women's United States Championship belt, and this would have been actually answered by Alexa Bliss or Nikki Bella. Now, this is really fascinating to me because the fact that Chelsea Green isn't on the WrestleMania card is a joke. I said this on the roundtable with JD, Mr. Santi Zap, and Jesse. You know, the women's mid-card belts not being involved here is literally a disaster. You know, and I do think that's a poor way of introducing your women's mid-card titles. And listen, Alexa Bliss would have been a great opponent. Nikki Bella would have been a great opponent. You could have done the title change. There's just a lot of frustration here on my end because I genuinely believe that WWE should know better. And the fact that these plans aren't happening is ridiculous. Now, technically speaking, WWE could try to squeeze this in on night 1 or night 2, and that would be pretty nice to see happen. But I just don't genuinely believe that is going to be the case. And I think for WWE, the fact that it's not happening is kind of ridiculous. Nikki Bella's back in the WWE world. You know, there's talks of Evolution 2 happening. There's so much that you can do here, and for some reason WWE just simply isn't doing it. And that's where I'm frustrated, because this is not a scenario where it's like there's no options on the table. And the two options that were pitched, you know, with Chelsea Green or Nikki Bella, those would have actually been really fantastic in my opinion. One thing that I really want to make clear here with WWE, and maybe a little bit of my frustration that I can kind of express to you guys, is that they rolled out these mid-card titles and you have Lyra Valkyria and Bayley not on the WrestleMania card competing for the belt, despite the fact that that was being teased. You also have Roxanne Perez, who was beefing with Bayley, and that wasn't put on the card either. And then you have Chelsea Green, who won the Women's United States Championship, and she's a great champion and she's a great wrestler. And, you know, there's a lot of talk about her being the female Miz. That's essentially what she is. And that's why I think there is so much potential here. I don't know why they're just not maximizing it. And I think that's what frustrates me the most, is knowing that they could maximize something here and they're just simply choosing not to. And the fact that they're choosing not to tells me that either WWE is doing too much at once or WWE is doing too much at once without thinking about it. And that's a bigger problem. So I hope that gets resolved, and I'm hoping that they actually add this to the WrestleMania card. And the cool thing is, because of Chelsea Green's character, you actually don't need to do a long match either. You can have her lose, and that would be completely fine, especially if she got squashed. There would be nothing wrong with that. The purpose of this is to build storylines, and you can build a great storyline from that. And that brings us to our final topic, ladies and gentlemen. WWE controversies all over the place this week. It's a PR nightmare for the company. I don't know what happened. I don't know why WWE continues to do this, which is really strange because I am very excited about WrestleMania, but I feel like WWE this week has kind of been a disaster from a PR perspective. First and foremost, John Cena coming out talking about his love for Vince McMahon. He doesn't care what anybody else thinks about it. He's making it very, very clear. And that's fine. John Cena has his relationships. I have no problem with that. You like who you like. That's you. That's your business. I'm not here to judge you guys on a personal level. I'm here to watch a wrestling TV show and talk about a wrestling TV show. But of course, John Cena talking about this publicly has made headlines everywhere. Not only that, but Nick Khan talking about AEW has also drawn up tons and tons of headlines, and most of them are not positive. And then you have Roman Reigns, who's coming out speaking publicly about Donald Trump and you know, his support for Donald Trump. And again, I don't care about his politics. I don't care about wrestlers' political beliefs. It does not interest me at the slightest. That's not what I analyze. You know what I mean? That's not what I talk about. My job is to talk about professional wrestling, and that's where I keep it. However, at the same time, too, when you talk about professional wrestling, you have to acknowledge the fact that there is all these negative headlines at a time where WWE should be promoting WrestleMania. The main subject matter of this weekend is WrestleMania 41. And instead of people talking about WrestleMania 41, we're talking about, you know, Roman Reigns and his political beliefs. We're talking about John Cena defending Vince McMahon and his friendship with Vince McMahon. We're talking about Triple H and his inability to really, you know, Triple H calling fans out and just Mr. Santi Zap said it best on the panel, but you know, it's kind of like this preemptive damage control thing. And like, yeah, that's kind of the issue here. It's we should be talking about WrestleMania. We should be getting excited about WrestleMania. And instead, that's not what the conversation is. The conversation is all of these different things that are really have no relevance whatsoever to the WWE product. And that is a big problem. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Ango Show.